JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, January 30th, this last trading day of January, the first month of 2026. I'll talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P bouncing off the lows, down about 0.2% in a rocky session. Markets all the way down. SPY hit was it 686, 687, right at 686. Right about 115. Not much in the way of catalyst today. I had Apple after the close yesterday. Actually, a decent report. Uh, that found pressure after open, that down to 252. And then the commodity space, right? Gold and silver. It's like day two of I don't even know. I don't even know what you want to call it. Yesterday, gold reversed like $400 or $500 intraday, and then today there was no buyers. They just disappeared, and gold had its worst session at times in decades. Was down over 10%. Just remarkable. I look at silver; it's down 27%. You look at it, it's like, is there something wrong on my screen? But that's what happens. And you try and put it into context of what's happened. Pretty much gold is back to its levels not seen since 8 sessions ago, right? So it's pretty much erased the previous 8 or 9 days of gains. That's all it's done. But because of the moves it's had, it's extreme. But what catalyst can you put to be the rationale? Why did it sell off? Is it the new Fed chair announcement, which obviously the Fed chair, we still have Fed chair Powell. To me, it's almost like I think if there's a Fed chair, and I don't want to go on a whole tangent around the new Fed chair or what have you, but I think it's a win-win because it's almost like a little bit of a hawkish spin. So it kind of alleviates concerns that there's going to be, the Stephen Miran, however you pronounce his name, the one who's been dissenting on all these Fed meetings. Someone go in there like Rambo and start just cutting, slashing rates, right? I don't think that would be very good at all, and I don't think the market would like it anyway. So it's almost like the market priced this in. It's remarkable how this all works. But I don't know if that's some of it. And you look at gold. Is it so maybe people are worried about like a runaway inflation scenario where you have a Fed chair come in and cut the rates, and then we still have strong economic growth, but we also have inflation. And if you're cutting rates with high growth and high inflation, the inflation will probably keep going higher and higher. So, uh, yeah, not good stuff. So maybe that's construed somewhat negative in regards to the inflation side. So I don't know if that's it, but it's like people hit the sell button and then just came continuation, and people take profits, and then it snowballs. You know me, I was saying on rant this morning, I'm always looking for bearish positions on gold. If you've listened to my rants over the years, I was in the last big move is 2014. I think it was March. I had puts. I also had dust, and I'm trying to think the J dust, the minor calls, and a couple thousand% on some of the calls. The difference between today and yesterday compared to 2014 is the premiums weren't pricing in a seven. Well, not I would say it was pricing in a 7% move, but the premiums were elevated yesterday. So even to try and trade some of these moves, just the reward side's not there like it should be. Well, not should be, like it would be if there was no swings the last couple of days, because gold has been pretty volatile. Typically, gold doesn't move 1, 2, 3, 4%. That's a large day. Some years we probably didn't have gold move that day on an intraday basis. So anyway, I gotta watch. I'm trying to watch Deckers here, and I might get out of these lotto calls. So anyway, all right. So that's overall market. Next week we have earnings. Google, Amazon. Names obviously Reddit. I just posted about. So to me, like Google, just remarkable stuff. Their new. I don't even know what to call it. It's destroying Unity today. App loving supposedly an environment that I don't know if it's helped game creators. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pretend I know what it is. All I know it's like people just create. They're selling first, asking question later. What does this do for some of these names like Unity, who great platform to create games? I mean, if you have kids, some of the games they log in and it says Unity at the bottom, and you're like, okay, now I know what they do. So that's not how I do my due diligence though, but that's how I get a lot of some ideas. Like it helps kind of connect the dots. But you see that Take Two Interactive too. I mean, it's going to destroy. But in a nutshell, to me, it's like Google's like a year ago. Everybody's talking about Dex down 117. How and the SPY is 693. Do we have news? And what dropping two? All right, just really quick. Everybody's talking how Google's gonna get. They're already digging its grave. The search is over. AI is destroying them, and then boom, they had earnings, and and then all of a sudden it wasn't AI anymore, and it was the story kept shifting. So all of a sudden it's like, wow, Google's doing great with AI. Oh, Google has their own chips. Oh, Google, and then now it's turned into this whole story where they're like a behemoth, like eating everybody. And this today's just another one of those stories of Google eating the lunch. And it's like you would think if Google's eating, I mean, Google's up a lot, but it's like, where's all if Unity's selling off, Apple and all these other names, all the names in the software space too. So where's the money going into? So and when you get bearish on some of these bubble names that you can say is, the AI side of things are bubble, now you can say, okay, there's definitely market taken away from some companies, and you can make the cases going into these other names that have rallied. So rants for other days, but Google next week I think is probably the most important earnings. I know Nvidia is always important too, but it seems like Google's involved with everything. So their CapEx spending, any updates in regards to the advertised side of the business? Reddit's selling off today. I mean, you look at Reddit and you try and find a bear case on it. People, they all talking about Google having some kind of impact on Reddit. I don't get it, right? But if there was a bear case on Reddit, it's that the advertising spends, right? But people don't want to advertise on Reddit, or they're pulling back on their ad spend. So we'll find out next week with Google. So the thing is, Reddit reports Thursday after the close. So anyway, just really quick on Reddit. So I got the GLL calls in the morning. Similar yesterday, I was on a rant yesterday afternoon. I'm looking at dust calls, and I think it was the $6 strikes. And I'm like, the premiums just don't make sense for the risk reward, because I think dust was like 490 at the time, 480. So same with GLL. I'm looking at the calls. I'm like, the risk reward's not there. So you take a look at GLL, it's up 17%. You would think the calls would be up 500, 1,000%. It's not the case. But anyway, thankfully, gold, well, not thankfully, but gold sold off, able to take some of the calls off for close to 100%, then some more for 100%, and I'll just hold the rest. Have March strikes, plenty of time there. You start looking at gold, and I'm not going to sit here and hold for $2,000, right? Is there a short? Is this the bottom? I know, I'm sure there's buyers there. You see the headlines this week. It's like everybody's like, oh, I think it was Goldman Sachs. They upped their target now to 8,000, right? And it seems like every time it was going up, they just kept raising price targets. Here it is at 4,900. So I mean, is it going to consolidate here? Is 4,700 was the low today? So I'm going to continue to hold those, plenty of time. And to me, it's almost like a hedge, right? When gold was selling off yesterday with the market, you would think that gold is a risk off asset, right? When the market sells off, traditionally gold would get a bid because people are looking for flight to safety trade. That wasn't the case yesterday. So maybe that narrative story has changed, and because of a lot of folks have piled in, it's become like a risky asset, right? So maybe it'll provide a hedge too on some downside. So, all right. So that was a GLL position. And I got the deck lottos. So, I wouldn't say kicking myself, but I was looking at calls yesterday, and I think it was the 125s. They looked expensive. I think they were like 80 cents or $1, and the deck was like $90 or whatever it was, 95. And then sure enough, yesterday after the close, great quarter. And the thing with deck, it's like, I've been in calls and they've had great quarters before, and the stock's done nothing. So it's frustrating because some of it's just about being in the calls at the right time, at the time when the market says, okay, this time we're going to rally on a great beat and raise. And so, it spiked to 115, chopping around. I was watching at the open, sold off down to 110, and then it was bouncing again. I said, if it breaks 115, I'm going to get some lotto calls. Breaks 115, I get the lotto calls, and what does deck do? It sits there at 115 pretty much for the entire morning into the noon hour. And then 1 o'clock broke to 116, bounced back. It just hit 118 here. So I didn't hold all the calls. I mean, I didn't hold a lot of calls. Ahead of time, I could have got them out for a small gain in the morning. Could have got them out for flat just a little while ago. Let's see what they are right now. So I'll just hold them. They're 20 cents. They're flat, right? I don't even know if there's a bid on them. So, yeah, no bid. So I'll just hold them. Anyway, so, I mean, you look at deck. I don't know if I'm going to trade it next week, but that was the thought process there. Again, those lotto calls. And then just a little while ago. So Reddit reports after the close on Thursday. So my thoughts there on Reddit. Some premiums gonna be tied into the calls just because they have earnings. And to me, I think it's one of those names. It's just like just wait for an update on a deal in AI. It's like, I don't know. It drives me nuts that it still stays here around every time it looks like it's gonna break out. There's some kind of either a downgrade or some other situation that there's a sell-off. And actually this recent sell-off it was $260 just a couple weeks ago. Here it is at 180. All right, just I'm trying to think of some of the other names. Altimmune just hit highs a minute ago, just holding the rest of those strikes. 1-800-Flowers, disappointing. It's down 6% here. Well, 6%, it's only 30 cents, 28 cents. Obviously just going to hold those strikes. GameStop. Yeah, so I was talking about GameStop this morning, and it's one of those names I hate to. Sometimes some of my best trades, and the reason why some of these names they don't enter is like the crowd, right? So when you have a large cap name that's a $1 trillion market cap like Nvidia, it's like, how can you how can you have an edge on the crowd if everybody's in the trade, right? Who makes the big money? To me, the big money is made on options on names that aren't that highly covered, right? Where you can find an edge, an opportunity, a high short name that someone has a completely wrong story on that you can bet on the other side and make, Anyway, so in a nutshell, when I'm looking at GameStop, it's such a widely I would pumped name, I guess you would say. And then Michael Burry just came out with his bullish piece the other day, and it makes me kind of hesitant to try and get calls on. So finally, I pulled the trigger this morning. Um, I don't know how I'm going to trade it. Hopefully, I can get a chance to lock some in to cover costs and then look for other positions because I've said it in the summer. Like I love this story. It's a cash cow now. It's pretty much it could just sit there and just make money on its interest payments on its cash position. So it depends on what company they acquire too. I'm not a big fan of a company that acquires another company, right? You're buying typically when you're investor, or well, to me, you would think if you're an investor, you're buying a stock for its existing business, not for it to go out and speculate to buy other companies, right? Unless it's gonna be a substantial improvement, like the person who's doing the acquisition has some better insight into that business model, says, hey, I can make it a better, more profitable, it's better for us, better synergies, whatever it is. I'm not a big fan of that. So, hey, we'll see what happens with GameStop. So I did get those calls. And then hopefully maybe there's some kind of catalyst or what have you, and that takes off. Anyway, let's have a great weekend, folks. If something changes before the end of the day, I'll get on. Otherwise, I'll be on. I'm going to try and do a week ahead webinar with the earnings this weekend. Let's have a great weekend. Rock and roll.